And additional information when it comes to that the $50 free bet coupon that the betting platforms can send out to customers, and in return, in the requirements state that the customers should pick teams with 200% or more plus, and that as a result, if they win, the company will collect twice the amount they gave. So if the customer picked at 200%, the customer wins 150, and the company collects the 50 and another 50. So usually the companies collected just one amount, the amount that they gave. If a customer wins, the company automatically kept that amount that they gave the customer, and everything else outside of that, the customer kept. In this situation, as I mentioned before, they would say, well, we'll keep twice the amount, but that's why it's $50, and this is to a customer that's already been with the company. It's not towards new customers, and so because it's $50, it's one of those things. But another idea to it, and of course, just to explain the $50 in a short concept. If the customer wins on 200%, it becomes $150. The company collects $100 to themselves. They're not losing anything because they just give the customer a credit. It was a credit without putting any money up front. And if the customer picked the team and won, the company is making $100. The customer is making $50. But of course, if the customer picked it at a higher percentage, higher than 200%, then whatever the amount, and it could be, $250. It could be, let's say the customer picked it at 200%. At 200%, so let's do the count at 200%. At 100%. Well, I guess I did the 200%. It becomes. Let me see. Where's my math here? It becomes 150, right? 150 on 200%. On 300% is 200. On 400 is 250. So let's just leave it at 400%, $250. Let's say the customer picked it at that percentage. So they're going to subtract the $100, the 250s, and the customer is going to keep. So basically, it's 100. So the customer is going to keep 150. So if the customer wins 250, the customer keeps 150. And really, basically, on the percentages, if the customer wins $500, because they picked a high percentage, and the game was still won, then the company will still only collect 100. They'll collect 100 from that win, and the customer gets to keep the rest. So given that all in mind, this is with the $50, but then the idea is, why not make it just $100 and not change it to twice, but just. I mean, that's even better if you think about it. Give a credit of $100 to each customer that's already been a customer from time to time to come and put money on a team. And in this situation, of course, still ask the customer. That's interesting. If they give $100, with the understanding now how they can set everything up so there's no loss for them. With that being clarified, because if the customer loses, since some of their employees bet against the customer also as a company, they'll just pay it to themselves, and so as a result, there's no loss for the company. So because of that, whether it's 250s that they're going to take back for giving the customer a 50, or what if they say, why not just give $100 to the customer? And so the idea is, if they give 100, do they need to do it? Well, and I guess, and not do it, and not say 2 times, but just 1 time. So if they give $100 to a customer and say, we're not going to take 2 amounts, we're not going to take twice the amount back. We're just going to take, like as usual, as always. When we give you something, we'll take that amount back if you win. So that means they'll only take it 1 time. So if it's 100 amount right away and not a 50, then they'll just take it 1 time if the customer wins. So let's say but the customer has to pick. Does the customer have to pick at 200%? That's the idea. If the customer picks at a 200%, wouldn't that be $200 win? So so the question becomes, what's so different from the regular promotion? The regular promotion was, usually you can pick at 100%. See, with the 50s, I was saying require 200% or more plus, so then the win becomes 150 at least, and so the company can collect 250s back, which is 100 for the company, and the customer gets keep the 50. But if the customer picks at a higher percentage and wins $500, the company will only keep the 250s, and the customer gets to keep the 400. So it's really the whole idea was to require for the coupon to be at 200%. So if they change that, if they learn from that idea and they say, why not just give 100 and just take it one time as usual, right? One time as usual. Well then that's fine. That makes sense. But I guess if you look at it as that really, it's not a huge. I guess the reason they might say it is because once everything is clarified and once they understand that if the customer loses, they can direct that loss towards them as the person that bid against the customer, and then basically the $100 they'll pay to themselves. And that means they're not losing any money. And so they say, well, since we're not losing any money, if the customer loses, we don't mind giving the customer $100. And this is not a new customer. This is, a customer that was with us for long periods of time. And this is not just a one-time thing. It's like, an ongoing thing from time to time. So it's up to them, really. Technically, they can get a little greedy and say, well, we still want them to pick a 200%, but take twice the amount that we give because it's such a big amount, right? It's not that big amount, really. It's just $100. But they'll say, because we're giving you 100, we want to, they can use the same approach as with the 50. But if they don't want to, even better for them. If they don't want to, then the requirement doesn't have to be 200%. It can just be 100%. So the customer picks it at 100%, and that means they'll win 200. The customer will win 200, and then they'll keep the 100 from it. And that's the usual process. The most coupons, the most credits that when they give, they always keep the amount that they give. They always subtract it from the win, and it goes to the company. The majority of the times, like 99% of the times, that's what the companies do. If they give you a free bet, whatever the amount is, if you win, they'll subtract that amount from your win, and everything else you keep. So it's a great deal for the customer. So, but the idea, so I'm trying to balance how does people think? How does the company think? The betting platform, and not necessarily greedy. Not necessarily. Maybe that's not the right word to say. With the 50s, it's not greedy at all. Even with 100, people think, well, they're getting 100. It's not greedy. It's not really greedy. I mean, if that's what they need to do to feel comfortable with it, it doesn't matter for the customer. The customer can still make, they're still going to end up winning $100 or more. So the customer still, wins, and the company wins. So however they want to do it, if they say we still want to use the same approach, we'll give a customer $100. And then if the customer wins, we'll subtract 200 from the win. But the customer has to, then the requirement of the coupon is the customer has to bet on 200% or more. 200% plus or more, not 100%. Because the company wants to collect double from the win. And that's supposed to be an easy one. That's like, and it's not, I have to be careful when I say greedy. It's not that greedy. If that's what's needed for them, for a customer, it's still good in a sense of it, right? So it's up to the company, the betting platform themselves. Or if they say, we just want an all fairness or legality, we cannot ask twice, we can only ask for one amount. If that's what they're going to say, if that's the reason, if that's for some reason legally they cannot do that, take two amounts back. I think they can if they wanted to. I think, because the customer still gets something for free as a win. But if they say something like, if there's some kind of legal reason that they cannot do that, they have to only take the same amount back and not more. then even then, knowing the process of how they can take care of it if the customer loses, because their own company sometimes bets against the customer. Their own employees have the fund of the company, so they can redirect that towards that employee and pay themselves the amount, and so it will come out even. So the company is not losing anything. So if legally they cannot take 200 for whatever reason or any other reason, but I think that they technically can if they wanted to. It's their coupon. I mean, they can specify in the coupon and say, you have to bet on 200% or more, because if you win, we're going to collect twice what we gave you. So we give you 100, but if you win, we'll collect 200 from that win. So you have to pick a game at 200% plus or more. So if the customer picks it at 500%, or more, or much higher, and let's say the customer wins, $500, all they're going to do is collect the 200s from the win, and the customer gets 300. So the customer's happy. You want 300. So in any case, the customer's win is 100, even if they, that's if they require 200s back for giving a free 100. They're giving a customer a free 100 credit. If the customer wins, the requirement is we want 200 back for it. So you have to pick it where you win. It has to be at least 300. It has basically 200% or more. So in that sense of it, but it's up to the betting platform company really how they want to do it. I mean, they can also they can really say, if we can just redirect it correctly and go and pay off to us and bet against the customer in that circumstance, pay out, satisfy the payments between those funds, the funds that are from our company, then we're really not losing anything. But we're having an opportunity to make money. We have an opportunity to make money. And let's say the company says that they don't mind just taking back just one amount, just giving 100 and taking back 100. Well, even better for the winner. But in that case, the 200 minimum is not really required. I mean, it could be even 100 really. If they're taking 100 back, then at 100%, the customer can put a bet and win 200. Technically speaking, and I guess really, technically, if they put a bet on anything negative, then there has to be there's a certain limit to it, because the company wants to get their 100 back from the win. They're giving this as a credit; they want it back. So there's options. The betting platform can go for, bet on 200% plus or more, and as a result, we're going to take 200 back from the win. The customer wins, on a 200%, on 200% of, let's say 100, it's 300. Because she has the credit plus the 200s, so it's 300. So the company subtracts the 200, the customer keeps the 100. But if a customer wins, 1,000, then the company still only subtracts 200, the customer keeps 800. The same process of it. It's just the company takes back twice what they gave as a free credit bet as a result of a promotion coupon. And so the requirements are really easy for the company to make. And as a result of it, because if the customer loses, they're connecting that loss to one of their workers that bid against the customer. And so in the sense of it, they're basically paying for the customer to their worker, and that worker is putting their money back into their fund. So they're not losing anything whatsoever, but they're motivating people to come back to them because their customers appreciate it, because it is really even more luxury if you get $100 free from time to time as a customer, as a regular customer, not as a new customer, but as a regular customer. They come back, and from time to time, they often, not just rarely, but as often as possible, because it motivates person. The company's not losing anything as a result of it, but it motivates people if they win. First, they'll spend more in that company. They might pick other teams and they'll spend more money. So however they wanted to do it, because they'll say if they only can collect, if for whatever reason they have to collect only one amount that they give, they cannot do it twice. I really don't see any, legally speaking, I don't see any, so they should be allowed to collect twice if they wanted to, as a promotion. because this is one of those promotions. Sometimes, some casinos, the wagering requirements is you can win 1,000, but they'll only pay you $50. You can win 1,000. Some other casinos sometimes, you can win, but the coupon says the maximum you can get is 50 or 100. Sometimes it's 100. The maximum you get 100. It's a promotion coupon. They give it to you, and as you play everything through, if you end up winning $500, they won't give it to you. They'll just give you the maximum, which is 100, because it was a free coupon. So if those companies are doing that to customers, I'm sure the major betting platforms, when it comes to bets on teams, can say, well, we just want 200 back. We want twice what we gave you, if they wanted to, in the sense of it. But in the sense that, legally speaking, if those companies are doing that, that means betting platforms can probably do that. Not exactly what they're doing, because that's kind of a little bit too much. But at the same time, if they want to, they can collect twice the amount. If they give you a coupon of 100, and they say if you win, then you have to bet on 200% or more, we'll subtract 200 from the win. But if you win 1,000, it's still going to be only 200. So that's a huge win. 800, if you win 500, we'll subtract 200. It'll be 300. But if you just, on a 200%, the win will be 300. So they'll subtract 200, and so the customer gets 100. So it's one of those things. So it helps, it's like the $50 was the idea, but the $100 is even better. Even better. The company is not losing any money. The company is not losing any money, but it's motivating people to appreciate the company, and as a result of it, gaining more business from people that might, if they win a lot of money, they might spend on the casinos more, try to, see if they can win more. I mean, it's one of those things. It's a win-win. However they want to do it, 100 would be even better. But I was, if you think about it, or 50, how, what's best? I think it's 100, right? I guess the idea was, why not just do 100 and just collect it one time, not twice, like every other coupon, and nothing's unusual, right? Nothing's unusual. It's like, wow, we got $100 and only collected it one time. Even better, because the company's going to redirect all of it, and it's going to basically, the loss will be paid, and the company's still going to make money. If the customer wins, they're going to get that 100 for just giving the person a credit. It's just like a verbal credit. It's saying this person has some chips that that it's not theirs, and they're going to pick a team, but the team wins. We're going to collect the money. We're going to collect that 100, and the person's going to get the rest. So it's really, in the sense of it, it's even better for the company just to keep it as it always was, just subtracting the amount they're giving only from the win, and people probably even appreciate it even more. However they want to do it, or they can go for the fact of saying, the requirement has to be 200 plus, and then we have to subtract twice the amount we gave you, and the rest that you win is yours. It's really one of those things. It's up to them, but I think it's even more appreciated. I think people will even more appreciate it if it's just, just 100 subtracted and not 200, because then they can pick a team at 100%. They can pick a team at 100%, and that doesn't have to be 200% requirement. So and so technically they can pick an even less than 100%, but their win will be less, because the company is going to still subtract 100. As far as I know, so even if they pick the team at 150 negative, their win is going to be $50, but the company is going to subtract 100. So that's an obvious fact. The betting platforms understand the concept of giving that credit and then subtracting it from a win. So, but the idea is, if it's a loss, they have to pay for the customer. But if they redirect the payment to the fund that they're using to bet against the customer, then they're really paying themselves, and they're not losing any money. But, of course, if it's a win, they redirect that towards the other customers that put money on the other team and lost, and pay out from those customers to the customer that won and to themselves. So technically, it's just basically they're not losing any money, but instead they have an opportunity to make more money. Every time a customer wins, they're going to get $100 back into the fund. Or if they double it, it'll be 200. But if they keep it the same, because every time a customer wins, there's $100 coming in. But for them, since they're satisfying that payment to one of their employees that bet against the customer, they're not really losing anything. It's like they're saying, we're going to pay for this person, and then when they come to the pay, it's the worker that has to pay, and they're saying, it's okay, we know him, so or they just give him the 50 and he puts it into their same fund, their own money fund, the same betting platform, because they usually have people betting against other teams and other people on teams, betting on teams against other people. So as long as they redirect everybody with coupons, if there's a loss to themselves, and that's really, it's illegal. It's nothing illegal about it. It's because there's so many people putting bets. So there's the betting platform employees putting bets, and there's everybody else putting bets. And so everybody else that put a bet on the other team that lost, the betting platform obviously can, if the person, I guess the whole idea I'm explaining more is if the person with the coupon lost. If the person with the coupon lost, somebody the betting platform has to pay for this person. That's the only time when money is involved when it comes to the betting platform has to actually put something up for the customer. Right? Before it was just a credit, verbal credit, okay? I mean digital credit. Digital, they just put it in, okay, it has this credit. But the money actually goes only if the customer actually loses, then the betting platform has to come in and say, okay, we'll give him this credit, so we're going to pay for him. So now all they have to do is direct this payment back to themselves rather than other people, because they also betted against the customer and won. So in the sense, they as a company, they have no expense in that sense of it. So once they pay themselves, they go back into the fund. It's like either they put the money out and pay themselves, or that would be probably the best way. Just put money, here's a payment, and they take the payment and put it back into their own fund. So they have no loss whatsoever. But every time there's a win, they redirect to the win. It gets paid out from the fund from the other customers that bid on the other team that lost. And so that money is not from the company. And so in that case, the company is making money from that money, and the person that picked the right team is making money by picking the right team. So it's a win-win for everybody. I'm trying to balance it as best as I can. It's a win-win. The company's not losing anything, but it's gaining more customers who appreciate them for being generous with the customers. And it's really this luxury feel concept. Here's $100. Put a bet on any team you like. On the house. Everybody will appreciate that company. Everybody will be like, yeah, this is the company we're going to stay with. In the sense, when it comes to putting money on teams, and the company's not losing anything, but if they win, the company's making money on top of that. So it's a beautiful promotion for the company, because if they look at it that way. So however they want to do it, they can, when it comes to $100, they can say, we'll just take it one time, and then every time there's a win, they'll be making $100. Every time there's a loss, that $100 is going to be paid to the same company that bet against the customer, and so it basically evens itself out, and there's no loss of any revenue from the company whatsoever. But just the return of it is so beneficial. More people spending, appreciating, and more people hopefully winning and having extra money to spend on other things, of course, and being really careful and wise, and having a certain budget set aside. And everything extra they spend on other things that they need to spend, but the budget that they have is just, sometimes if you win extra, take the extra out and keep that budget, and then if something happens and you end up losing the whole budget, then next payday replenish the budget, unless you won a lot of money and you have a lot of money, and then of course you can replenish it right away, or just wait next payday. So be kind of really responsible with it when it comes to But at the same time, it's such a beautiful thing to have an opportunity to win some money and to spend on the economy, and the company's benefiting with every win with $100 coming in. Even if they keep it the same way, but just taking one amount out instead of two. But even if they take two, the customer still benefits. Either way, it's a win-win. With 100, it's nothing unusual. There's no unusual requirements. With 100, you can bet, the customer actually can bet on any percentage. It could be a limit to like 150 negative or something, anything in above, or 120 negative, really. Because technically, the company's still going to take the 100 out of that win, if it's a win, right? But the customer is going to get like a $20 or $10 or $5 because they chose the negative, and that's those companies that honor that. I think the majority of companies honor the negatives usually nowadays. But anyways, when it comes to negative percentages, so it's one of those things. When they give the $100, there's no limitations. They can just pick any team, so there's more chances of winning, and more chances of the company getting $100. And everybody kind of understood that. They've been doing that, but usually they've been giving out smaller amounts, not 100. Usually once in a while, small amounts really when it comes to free bets. But the idea is if they can understand that they're not losing anything because if the customer loses, they're paying themselves, and it goes back into, and so they're not losing themselves anything. That sense of it, maybe that clarifies it more to say $100 is perfect to customers that we already have, sending out in emails, and bring them, and bring them back to our company to spend more money. If they win, they have more money to spend on casinos and other teams, and everybody's happy, right? And as long as they're responsible and spend the extra money they make on other things, paying out debt and other things, and paying out credit cards and anything else that's, so they can feel good about themselves, and, knowing that, and they still have a budget to play with, and they have an extra to spend on other things in life. So there's create this nice balance. It's a win-win for everybody. And of course, when they spend money on the economy benefits from that. Glory be to God. This is Markov saying, God bless everyone.